My name is Professor Adel Gastli from Qatar University. In this video, I would like to address a question that is becoming central not only to education, but to the future of humanity. Artificial intelligence is no longer only a technological innovation. It is becoming part of the environment in which children learn, students reason, teachers teach, and societies decide what kind of human beings they want to cultivate. This makes AI in education one of the most important questions for the future of humanity. If we use AI only to make learning faster, easier, and more automated, we may gain efficiency while weakening the very capacities that make education human. Attention, reasoning, creativity, judgment, empathy, ethical responsibility, and the ability to struggle with difficult questions. The danger is not that machines will become intelligent. The deeper danger is that human beings may stop developing the habits of intelligence because machines are always ready to think for them. Education, therefore, must not simply ask how AI can help learners produce better answers. It must ask a more profound question. How can AI be used without interrupting the development of human thought itself? This is why we need an AI lifespan scaffold. The relationship between a learner and artificial intelligence should not be the same at every age. A young child needs protected human connection. A school student needs guided struggle. A university learner needs authentic co-creation under human judgment. The purpose is not to resist AI. The purpose is to civilize its use in education so that it strengthens rather than replaces the human capacities on which the future of humanity depends. In turn, the child serves an interaction, the adult returns it. Over time, that repeated human exchange helps build the architecture of attention, language, self-regulation, trust, and meaning. That is why the first rule of AI in early childhood should be restraint. For young children, the best AI interface may be no direct interface at all. In this stage, AI should function as an invisible co-pilot for adults. It can help teachers notice patterns, reduce administrative load, and recommend developmentally appropriate activities. It might observe that one child withdraws during large group instruction but thrives during tactile play. It might help an educator plan a better one-on-one interaction after lunch, but the AI should stay in the wings. The teacher and child remain on stage. The purpose of technology here is not to automate the relationship. It is to protect and enrich the relationship. In early childhood, AI serves learning best when it helps human beings become more present to one another. As learners grow, direct interaction with AI becomes possible and, in many cases, valuable. By primary and secondary school, students are ready for more adaptive systems that can personalize pacing, identify gaps, and provide immediate feedback. This is where intelligent tutoring systems become powerful. A traditional classroom often moves at one pace for many different minds. One student masters fractions quickly and becomes bored. Another needs more time, falls behind, and carries that misunderstanding into the next unit. An adaptive AI system can notice the gap early. It can adjust difficulty, change the next prompt, and keep the learner moving at the edge of their ability. But this is also where the danger becomes serious. If the system simply gives the correct answer whenever the student gets stuck, learning stops. The student may complete the task, but the brain has avoided the work. The project materials call this risk metacognitive laziness, the gradual weakening of a learner's habit of thinking about their own thinking. If AI becomes the first place students go for answers, they may stop developing the capacity to sit with difficulty, test assumptions, and generate strategies. The solution is the Socratic guardrail. A guarded tutoring system does not simply answer, it asks, it redirects, it breaks a problem into smaller steps. If a student makes an algebra error, the AI does not say, here is the right formula. It asks, what happened to the negative sign in step 2? That question matters. It forces the student to re-enter the reasoning process. Singapore's Learning Assistant, or LEA, is a useful example of this model. It uses limits on interaction so that AI guides students through a problem rather than spoon-feeding them the solution. The machine knows the answer, and the student knows the machine knows the answer, but the system deliberately refuses to remove the cognitive work. This changes the teacher's role as well. If AI can handle routine practice and immediate feedback, the teacher is freed from being only a transmitter of baseline knowledge. The teacher becomes a facilitator of inquiry, collaboration, and project-based learning. But this shift is not automatic. Educators need their own scaffold. They must learn when to intervene, when to let struggle continue, how to read AI learning data, and how not to undermine the Socratic process by stepping in too quickly with an answer. In K-12, good AI is not the machine that makes learning easy. It is the machine that keeps learning difficult in the right way. By the time students reach higher education, the question changes again. University students are preparing for a world where generative AI is already part of professional work. In that world, banning AI from every assignment is not enough, but accepting AI-generated essays as evidence of learning is also not enough. A polished essay can now be produced in seconds. A final product no longer proves that the student understands the subject, made sound judgments, or can defend the reasoning behind the work. So assessment must move from product to process. This is the purpose of authentic assessment in the AI era. Students may be asked to critique a flawed AI-generated analysis, verify claims, identify logical gaps, and improve the output. They may submit prompt logs that show how they used AI, what they accepted, what they rejected, and why. They may sit for a live oral defense where they must justify their choices in real time. The key question becomes not, did you produce this text alone, but can you explain the thinking that shaped this work? To govern this process, universities can use an AI assessment scale. At one end, AI is prohibited, so baseline knowledge can be checked. At the other, full human AI co-creation is allowed or expected because the assignment is meant to mirror professional practice. Imagine a senior student writing a capstone project on global environmental policy. At the beginning, the professor and student agree that this is a level 5 assignment. AI use is allowed, but the student must document and defend it. Before using AI, the student maps the broader political, economic, and ethical context. That is helicopter thinking. She asks precise, novel questions that shape the AI's output. That is generative thinking. She checks the AI's claims against reality. That is inferential and reflective thinking. She considers how the policy affects human communities. That is human-centric empathy and ethical thinking. Weeks later, she submits not just the final paper, but the prompt logs and reflections behind it. In the oral defense, the professor asks, the AI recommended a carbon tax model here, but you emphasize cap and trade. The question before us is not only how to bring AI into classrooms. The deeper question is what kind of human beings we want future generations to become in a world where intelligent machines are everywhere. If education becomes only faster, smoother, and more automated, we may produce learners who can access answers but cannot form judgment, who can generate outputs but cannot defend ideas, who can use powerful tools but lack the wisdom to guide them. But if we design AI education carefully, it can become a scaffold for something higher. It can protect human connection in early childhood, strengthen reasoning in schools, and support authentic co-creation in higher education while keeping responsibility, ethics, and meaning in human hands. This subject deserves serious debate because it will help. These are the capacities that matter most in an age of intelligent machines. They are also the capacities most at risk if education becomes too smooth. AI can accelerate output. It can personalize practice. It can expand access. But education must do something deeper than produce faster answers. It must protect the difficult human process by which understanding is formed. So the question for every classroom is not how much friction can AI remove? The better question is, what kind of friction does this learner still need in order to think for themselves?